So my final question, Paul, today is to do with the way that Buddhism is seen by some people. It seems to encourage students to focus almost obsessively on themselves in the pursuit of their own permanent happiness and salvation. Do you think there's any room for looking outwards in a more altruistic manner, so reaching out to others in need at a mundane level, for any reason other than to improve our own karmic returns?
I've heard this question put a few times over the years, and it can only be formulated from a wrong premise, and the person just doesn't understand the Buddha's teaching. Because, well, if we take it from what the Buddha actually taught himself, he would begin, when he had a new student, he would begin by talking to them about generosity, about being generous, about not being stingy, but being kind and helpful and generous to other people as a way of improving their lives. So that altruistic
their
aspect,
own lives.
But you're being generous. You're being, you're giving of yourself to others. So other people are benefited. What's wrong with two people benefiting?
Bit of a win-win.
Bit of a win-win. And that's the whole thing about the law of karma. The law of karma is like out and out selfish actions based in greed and hatred and the like always produce painful results. They produce painful results for the person that does them. They produce painful results for the people that are on the receiving end. It brings life down for everyone. That's the nature of what we call, inefficient action. Efficient action is relatively unselfish. So generosity, service, living an ethical life, an ethical life where you choose not to kill or harm living creatures. That's the first precept. To abstain from harsh speech or wrong speech, lying speech, to not to steal, all these kinds of things. They benefit the person who does them, and they benefit society as a whole. So it is a win-win. So
do you think even if it's a sort of forced thing, so if someone's generosity doesn't come from a sort of genuine place, and it's almost like they're pretending to be happy by only focusing on the positive and ignoring other emotions?
Yeah, but when you meet someone like that, you want to poke them, don't you? Because you want to get a real reaction out of them, because they're actually being selfish. So the whole point...
Oh, explain that.
Well, they are trying to present to the world an image. So they're not actually being... So they are full of self. They are full of that egotistical drive to get a particular outcome. They want to... It is a form of control and manipulation, isn't it?
Yes, I think that is my question in a sense, because... in my experience, I've known people who have forced the positive all the time, and I think it is ignorance of reality.
Yeah.
But then, what's reality? Because I have a tendency, being from the Midlands, to not just call a spade, but to hit people over the head with it. So is
and do you feel better for that?
In that moment, sometimes, yes.
Yeah, but subsequently, do you look back and go...
Sometimes not so much, yeah.
Well, yeah, quite. And that's what the whole Buddhist thing is about. It isn't trying to impose a narrative on us. That's a funny thing. Yes, it describes the way, the processes of life and how life works, but then it leaves it to us to examine what's going on in real terms, in real time, as it were, to experience our responses and experience the results of having acted in certain ways, and learning about, well, which are the ones that work and which are the ones that don't. Not according to anyone else's idea, but according to our own experience. And I think that's wisdom. So it is possible, it is the case that some people apply themselves to meditation and to the training in just that way. They think, oh, I'm a Buddhist now.
I'll trick my karma. I'll trick the karma. And
well, yeah, it's like they're trying to find their self in all of this, the ideal self or whatever. So they put on an image, and what they're not, and it's kind of understandable that and then they get let down because they see aspects of themselves that don't fit the image, like, you know, there might be some hatred going on and they don't want to acknowledge it. And part of my role as a teacher is to, I mean, I will go to the extreme if I have to, of sort of provoking them to display it, but I'd rather talk them through it and get them to be mindful of these other states, what I call the Darth Vader in us all. Mm-hmm. Buddhism is about looking at the complete spectrum of human experience, from the darkest to the lightest, and see that it's all transient, it's all ungraspable ultimately, and it's all actually non-self. So to regard these mental qualities as self, as being me or mine, actually creates terrible suffering for people. And the more that people let go and recognise, oh, it's just, this ill will, irritation that I'm feeling is a passing state. I don't have to deny it. I don't have to deny its existence. I can just allow for it. Probably best not to act right at this moment. Wait till it subsides, and when you're feeling in a different state of mind, then perhaps you can perform the action that you wanted to perform and you get a different result.
Can you explain a bit more about what the difference is, though, between doing something in a sort of loving kindness way that you've decided you actively want to pursue, and fake niceness that would yield those negative responses?
I mean, in the onlooker doesn't want to poke the person who's doing it for real. Just so it doesn't want to sort of try to get at them and get a real response out of them, because they're getting the real response out of them, and it's very natural, and that friendliness and that loving attitude is actually the hallmark of somebody who doesn't have a lot of self-concern. Somebody who has a lot of self-concern will be the person that is trying to put on the image and on some level we can all tell, because there's something dishonest about it. There's something they're actually hiding, either from the outside world or from themselves. They're hiding their dark side. Whereas somebody who's truly being themselves and is comfortable like that, they will show that. They won't have a problem showing it. If they're mindful, they might think now's probably not the time to act upon the way I'm feeling. But if someone is really in tune with the way they're really feeling, and you go in to ask them something, they might very well say, look, probably best we don't discuss it now, I'm feeling a bit off. Come back in a little while. Do you know what I mean? It's just, you've got more...
There's an honesty about it. And it reminds me of an expression, it's amazing what we can achieve if we don't mind who takes the credit. And I think that's probably what you're getting at, is that somebody who's being genuinely generous isn't really looking for that credit.
Yes. That, I mean, I can see it going back to your original point now. It's like under training, the person is giving for the sake of giving. They want to give. Yes, there isn't actually a specific end product that they're looking for. It is they're being generous for the sake of being generous, but they know that generosity yields wonderful results for them. So they don't actually have to worry about the result. Right. They don't have to say, well, no, and therefore you... Because it's giving to get, really, then, isn't it? It's like, oh, I'll give this to you, but then you've got to give this back to me. No. It's got... the best kind of giving is that wholehearted, no, I'm giving because there's either a need there, or it doesn't even have to be a need. It can be just because I love you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah,
and giving something perhaps that you don't really want to give is more valuable in some way. That if it's something that's not easy for you to give, or something, is there a scale of giving in that sense?
I think that the scale really is about what you're giving to and why. For instance, in the Buddha's teaching, it is if who you give towards, it doesn't necessarily always have to be a downward trend that I give to somebody who is worse off than me. It could be giving to somebody who is actually better off than me. For instance, there is a tradition of giving a gift to the teacher when you go for to have a Dhamma talk with the teacher. The reason being that you value what the teacher is offering and you want to open up to that. So the giving of the gift is a recognition of the merit or of the value of what's taking place, and by giving you're actually creating this lovely openness that then the teacher can offer what he has or she has to offer generously and freely, which is the Buddha's teaching. And it does work beautifully. So it doesn't always have to be about you're solving somebody else's problem. It can be something quite beautiful where you're giving in a different way for different reasons.